Okay, my name is Andy Lee Graham, and I consider myself a conversationalist. Okay, and I keep thinking about the word discussion. Okay, a lot of people want to have a conversation, but they don't want to have a discussion. What they want to do is have you listen to them and agree with what they say. I don't know how many times I've sat in a situation and I finally realized we are not having a discussion. You want me to agree with you, and if I don't agree with you, I am wrong. When I was writing a lot of travel blogs, I would often call it I was a propositional writer. I would propose, and I've always said this, I'm always proposing an idea. Okay, and I remember when I was in philosophy class, one of the other, I don't know, graduate student, what do you call them, teacher's assistant, said, there are no absolutes. And I have a trouble because I have a problem that I say always, and I say, you know, to all this. I do these generalizations that are really radical. Okay. And I use the terms like all and always too much. Okay. But generalization, which is interesting, is generally true. So people normally want to say, Andy, but there's an exception to your generalization. That doesn't get rid of a generalization. A generalization is generally true. Trying to figure out if I can get this camera to sit upright. The actual tripod's got a little looseness to it somehow, and it teeters like that. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I've lived in 114 countries, and one of the reasons I'm able to live in 114 countries is I can talk to anybody. And a sign of a genteel, a gentleman, a lady, a good person is, oh, Richard, just because I use the word lady doesn't mean I want you to call people ladies. That's not a good word to use to call people around the world a lady. That's kind of boom boom talk in Thailand. Okay, but the genteel, the well-mannered people, the good people can have a discussion with somebody they absolutely disagree with and do it in a civilized way. But there's become a way of uncivilized behavior, okay, that you must agree with me or you're evil, okay, which is, I don't know, it's time to grow, listen up, shut up, and grow up. That's a 3-step program. Listen up, listen up, shut up, and grow up. Okay, adults should be able to have discussions on any kind of topic. Okay, an adult is a person that understands that we all have a right to disagree with each other. It's kind of like the pursuit of happiness, right? There's a pursuit of happiness in the Constitution, Declaration of, no, Constitution of the United States, I think. We all created equal and we all have a right to the pursuit of happiness. That doesn't mean we have the right to hurt another person. So we have to be able to share our space in an autonomous, separate way. But a discussion is when two people are thinking. But what it says is there's no absolute. So I can only say that I'm 99% sure. Very seldom will I ever say that I'm 100% sure of something. Because that's, with wisdom, you learn that you can always make mistakes. Things that I thought were the ironclad rules of travel 25 years ago, I now don't do. Like I'll give an example. I used to say that if I have to walk carrying trash 50 yards or 50 feet or something like that, I'm going to just throw it on the ground in other countries or anywhere. Why? Because the people in most countries don't care whether I throw things on the ground, so I was like them. Now, I realized later that that's not the right way to do it because they're actually looking at the United States or Western Europe or something as the leaders. Not that they're good leaders anymore. They're really kind of worse leaders than Guatemala. Guatemalans are much more genteel than Africa and Togo are much more genteel than Americans. But I realized after thinking, I have to be an example because they do look at me because if I'm from the United States, they're looking at, and anytime I'm as a leader of people, we should be the best possible example of humanity. And if you don't have any desire to be the best possible example of humanity, um, I'm not sure what you have to. That means you're going to be a bad mother and father. That's the reason why you got divorced. That's why all these things broke down, is because you didn't try to be the hero of your own life. But when you're having a discussion, an adult should be able to talk with somebody they totally disagree with in a civilized way. Why? First of all, if you believe in what you believe, it's not a big deal. They have the right to disagree. Okay, they have the right to think different. Come on, please. Do we have the right? Right now, you see that in the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump world, in the press, they are constantly mocking the other side. And that's the reason why people don't go into discussions, is they're afraid of being adults, okay? Because they don't believe they can be an adult. I can talk with anybody. I can listen. I had this woman, Cindy, go kind of haywire on Donald Trump the other day, and I was sort of laughing because, and people do it all the time. They assume that I agree with them before they start talking, which is not a discussion. You got to realize that everybody is a free will, and what you want to do is you really want to get like 25% of your information from friends and family and people that you trust that are philosophers. You want to get 25% of your information from 25 new people. You want to get 25% of your information from experience, where you learn from the consequences of your behavior. You get punished if you do it wrong. That's experience. And then you want 25% of trying to learn from other people's mistakes by watching media. Okay, but the world's media has turned into a you're wrong and I'm right and you're wrong world. And this is not a discussion, and it's not adult, and you shouldn't really go like all the other people are idiots. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I say this because I want you to think. If I call somebody an idiot, if I call you an idiot, does it make you think? Yeah. If I call you a wanker, it makes you think. But my job is what I'm doing is here to make you think. Okay. But a discussion is when two people do not believe 100% that they are correct. If you believe that you're 100% that you're correct, why are you talking to somebody? There is no reason to sit there and enforce your views on another person because you believe you're 100% correct. I remember I was sitting in Lake Athlon, and a guy was very, really, in my opinion, racist against the Israeli thing. And he says, they can't do this. And I go, he said, but we're having a discussion. I said, we're not having a discussion. You're trying to enforce your decision. I said, a discussion is when you can possibly be wrong. Okay. And everybody, no matter what you do, if they're, this is the $1 billion problem. I was having a discussion today about the word math and arithmetic. Math and arithmetic are almost interchangeable. They're they're really the same word, okay? But math means all of the different types of arithmetic, whether calculus and things like that. It's the general topic, and arithmetic is really just mathematics, whatever. But when you're saying a word, it's the intention is I'm using math, so arithmetic is fine too, okay? And when you're talking to a person and you know what they mean and you're correcting them, that's pedantic, okay? And this is where we got into the world right now. We're getting into the point where everybody's correcting everybody for how they think, trying to instruct everybody on how they think. So when I'm listening to a little kid, I let them make a lot of mistakes on words, right? Unless they're doing certain things that would be kind of taboo. Like I was trying to explain to a young man the other day, you need to shake hands with your right hand. The left hand is in the whole world is where you wipe your butt with your left hand. You don't shake hands anywhere on the planet with your left hand, okay? But as a gentleman in the United States, we, as by our culture, shake hands with the right hand. So you kind of make them switch over. You don't need to give them a lecture or anything. You just keep, when you shake hands with a young man or woman, whatever, you try to do it in a proper way. You look them in the hands and say, my name is Andy Lee Graham, and your name. I was laughing. I was just at church, and I guess I met they were all wearing T-shirts. I was like, this is not really my idea. But I met one of the intern preachers, and I walked up. I shook my hand. I said, "My name is Andy Graham. Hello." And he said nothing. Then he asked me my name a minute later, and I said, "My name is Andy Graham." And then I said, "And what is your name?" Okay. He didn't understand how the decorum of manners is. But good manners. Winston Churchill used to say, I guess, I know my friend Bruce always said, everything's forgivable but bad manners. Okay. Good manners will open any door. A good shake, handshake, a look in the eye, personality will open any door. But a good discussion is what your bosses. I'll never forget. I was I was thinking about getting a master's or whatever, or a PhD, and I was a philosophy psychology major, and I thought about getting a master's in business administration. And I went to the dean, and he said, "Andy, that's really a great major because we have these CEOs that are really tired of talking to people that all they have is a one-track thing. We have to be versatile. We have to be a polymath." Look at word up, polymath. We need to be a bohemian Renaissance person that is free to roam the world, okay? And that is required that you be able to get into a discussion and talk. Now, what is a discussion? Is it me talking 80% of the time, or is it them talking 80% of the time? For me, when I meet somebody, I'm listening 80% of the time. And then I do ask questions open-ended questions. I don't give like, are you happy? Yes or no. I don't do that kind of question. I do, hey, what do you think of the day's pretty wonderful? You going to do something fun today? It's an open-ended question. Okay, these are how psychiatrists are going to interview you. They're going to always take what you just said. So you say to me, oh, I'm having a great day. I'm going to go golfing. And then you go, and where do you go golfing? And then it just leads on in the constant. It's called the 5 C's in my thinking. Communication is 5 C's. It's continuous, contiguous, caring, conscientious, communication. It goes on and on and on, and it's contiguous. But when you have a conversation with somebody that you already know, you start again on where you took off. And if the person can't remember what they talked to with you, that's when life gets hard, okay? Because often people above 50 years old can't remember the last conversation they had with you, and they don't have that common remembrance of what's going on. So it's always a new conversation. And one reason why older people sometimes have trouble having conversations, they kind of just continually repeat what they say. When one of my friends repeats what they say, I start holding up the fingers like this, trying to get them to realize it's the art of conversation is I'm going to say, you repeated that story 4 times, 5 times. I learned that in Lake Athlon. James Easter used to hold up. My one friend came from, he was always talking about the Philippines in Guatemala, and my friend James would start holding up how many times he told the same story. But why do people tell the same story? You got to let them do it. You got to let people tell the same story because that's all they have to define who they are. So you got to let them do it. You have to let them tell the same story over and over because that's the only way they can define that recollection is defining who they are. You would hope that they would do it, but you can expand on their stories by getting them to talk about, tell me what you did when you was 15 years old. Where did you live? What was your dog's name? But people that normally in a discussion, you got the weather, sports in the United States, cars, men can talk about women. Here where I'm at, we talk about farming. Life is good. But a discussion, in my opinion, if I'm meeting you, I'm going to be listening 20% of the time. And I'm wrong there. I'm going to be listening 80% of the time and talking 25%. Why? Because it's How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie's book. The art of the whole book is down to one thing. You listen, you talk about what they want to talk about, and it's How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie's book. I wrote another book called How to Meet Friends because he didn't really tell you how to meet them. Okay, I got a pocket guide to meeting friends, meeting strangers, and I got 25 things as a pocket guide. But the point is this: is once you open up the conversation, then you should listen, and you repeat their name over and over. Like I always have a name card on me where I can give them my name, and I always have a piece of paper because people really appreciate when I pull out a piece of paper. I didn't do this on purpose. I did this all, and I write down their name and I put a magnetic cue, a memory cue next to it. So why I do it, when I add their phone number in there, I'll say I met them in Kendallville at church or whatever. But this is a discussion. What is not a discussion? A discussion is when I have to listen to you, and there is walking on eggshells. Walking on eggshells is when you know you're not in a discussion, that if you said the wrong thing, the person's going to get real angry or they're going to correct you. That is not a discussion. So back again, a discussion is when you're walking on eggshells and you're afraid you're going to get them angry if you say the wrong thing. That is not a conversationalist, and it's not a thing, and it's not a person that should travel the planet, okay? Because you can get a lot of trouble. But a lot of countries will listen to you, and that's one benefit for a lot of these people is everybody's listening because they just want your money. Okay, I'm here, and you're not. Why not? I'm Andy Lee Graham. I've become a Patreon, and we can explore the world. I'm in the state of Indiana. And I'm laughing because I've been taking a tour of churches. I went to my third church today. I was in Bridgeway Church in Kendallville. I think I'm going to go up near Orland on somewhere on 20. I don't know. My one friend told me about a church next. I was already at a Lutheran church. I guess I was at 2 Lutheran churches. Went to Lutheran Sunday School in Fort Wayne, and I went to Lutheran church in Kendallville. Now I went to the Bridgeway. I think it's evangelistic. I don't know, evangelistic church. I don't really care. I'm going to go to like 50 different churches if I stay here long enough, but I hope to be out of here. Please, God, let me leave this country. It's broken. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not? A conversation.